Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I am Jeffrey Cooperstein, filling in for Harrison Graham. He'll be out for about the next week or so. On today's show, top players to watch for the Mavericks at the 2024 Las Vegas Summer League. Some decent names on this Mavericks roster to keep an eye on, so we'll get into those here in just a moment. But before we start, I just want to know, are you guys going to watch the Vegas Summer League? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'll definitely tune in, and maybe if we get enough yeses, we might do a little Summer League watch party here, so stay tuned for that, and we'll get into it here. The Dallas Mavericks Summer League schedule, the 4 games are scheduled. They start out with the Utah Jazz, a late tip-off, 9:30 p.m. On NBA TV, July 13th. You have the Memphis Grizzlies at 7 p.m. on July 15th, Miami Heat on the 17th, and the Boston Celtics, a little finals rematch there on July 19th. 5th game is TBD. That'll depend on their standings and whatnot, so maybe the Mavs could be playing for a little Summer League championship. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Number 1 player to watch, we're kind of going to go from 5 to 1 as far as importance goes. Brandon Williams, the guard out of Arizona, he was on a 2-way deal with the Mavericks last year. He provided some decent play when the Mavericks needed it, when they were shorthanded without Luka and Kyrie. Played a little bit, averaged just over 3 points a game last year, played 17 games. He had 22 points in that season finale versus the Oklahoma City Thunder when nobody for the Mavericks was playing. He could score and burst. Back in the 21-22 season, he averaged 12 points a game in a short stint for the Portland Trailblazers. So Brandon Williams could be back on a 2-way for the Mavericks next season. He's definitely a player that we need to watch out for in Vegas. AJ Lawson, another guy who started with the Mavericks on a 2-way contract last year, ended up becoming a full-time roster member after the trade deadline when the Mavericks had one open roster spot, and they just converted A.J. Lawson so he could be eligible to play in the postseason. Now, Lawson didn't do a whole lot with the Mavericks last year. Here are his career stats in 57 games played over 2 seasons. About 3.5 points per game. Not a great shooter from 3. What he really brings you, though, is defensive versatility. If you need him to play, he can guard the 2s or 3s, even some undersized 4. Now, the key with Lawson is this is kind of a make-or-break summer league for him because he's on a non-guaranteed contract. So his contract becomes guaranteed on January 10th, which means the Mavericks can cut him before then without any penalty. And I kind of expect the Mavericks to make a move by cutting A.J. Lawson in order to create an open roster spot. You have one open roster spot right now, and the reports are that Markieff Morris is going to occupy at least one of those. Could it be his brother Marcus Morris that gets the other one? If Lawson plays well, he could force the issue and make the Mavericks try to make a decision between Lawson and Morris for who gets that final spot. But I would expect Lawson to not be on the Mavericks opening night full roster. Maybe he's back on a 2-way, but that remains to be seen. But let me know down in the comment section, should the Mavs keep A.J. Lawson on the roster? Type K for keep, type C for cut. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So when you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go on down there and get your votes in. Emanuel Miller, the local TCU product, who I'm very intrigued that the Mavericks brought in. They worked him out pre-draft, and Miller is a guy who's a 6'7 wing. He can play the 3, and I think that's where his future in the NBA lies, if anywhere. He averaged 15.8 points per game last season for the TCU Horned Frogs. Also grabbed 6 rebounds, which is pretty intriguing, and shot a career best 38.3% from 3-point range. I think Emanuel Miller is a prime 2-way candidate for the Mavericks. They like bringing in these local products, especially from the likes of TCU and SMU, to try out for the roster, and Miller is a guy who was a 5-year college player, started his career at Texas A&M. And I really think that if the Mavs want a guy with wing versatility, which is what everyone wants nowadays, guys who can play in multiple positions, guard, and shoot the 3, Miller is a guy that can do that. And if he plays at a high level in the Summer League, I bet the Mavericks bring him in for training camp and the preseason, and I could see him occupying one of those 3 two-way spots. Number 4, Melvin Ajinca, the Mavericks draft pick. I guess that would be at 51 overall. There are so many trades in the NBA draft, you kind of forget even when the Mavs pick. Ajinca had a decent year last year over in Europe, 10 points a night, 3.5 boards, shot it okay from 3. At the end of the day, I think the Mavs just wanted to get kind of an extended look at him because Ajinca is not going to play for the Mavericks next season. By all accounts, he's going to spend the next season in Europe before the Mavericks bring him over and sign him to a standard deal. Now, it's still possible that they could give him a non-guaranteed contract or they could give him a two-way deal, but by all accounts, he's going to spend next season over in Europe because the Mavericks don't want to spend a roster spot on him, and he's just one of those guys that's a draft and stash. Now, I do believe that he could have an NBA future, especially given his body type and his ability to get to the rim and maybe develop a three-point shot, I think. I mean, Ajinca is not going to be on this roster this season. The Mavs are trying to win, and so they're going to try to put pieces around Luka, Kyrie, Clay, and the likes to try to win right away, and Ajinca is just not that guy right now. So he's going to spend the rest of the season over in Europe. We are covering the Mavs all off-season long here on Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. The latest news, rumors, analysis, informative and entertaining coverage for 100% free. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you guys sub to this video, we might be doing Summer League watch party, so please do it right now. And last but not least, before we get on out of here, Emanuel Prosper, the Mavericks' first-round pick in the 2023 NBA draft. They made the trade with Richaun Holmes to get this extra first-round pick. And let me tell you what, I want Emanuel to ball out in the Summer League. When you go into this second year after you really didn't play in the first year, Emanuel is like the quote-unquote vet on this Summer League roster. I want him to be the guy playing 30 minutes a night, putting up 15 shots, knocking down threes, putting the ball on the floor. I really believe that Emanuel is going to be a special player for this Mavericks team going forward. And if his development takes him into year 3, that's fine. But I want to see him dominate in the Summer League, kind of like these guys are supposed to. Jaden Hardy kind of did the thing in year 2 where he had a really good Summer League and kind of put up numbers in volume. And I think Emanuel, if he's able to do that, that'll be a really good sign going forward. He's a 6'8 wing with huge wingspan and a big body. Emanuel is going to play, I think, some 4 in the NBA as well for the Mavericks going forward. As a 3 and 4, I love his body type. I love his work ethic. And I think the Mavericks development staff really believes in Olivier-Maxence Prosper to become a key part of this rotation, whether it's this season in 24-25 or it's the following in 25-26. They didn't trade with the Kings to get this first round pick for no reason. They really believe in Emanuel. And I think that if they didn't believe in him, he probably would have been traded already in a deal like for Daniel Gafford or for PJ Washington or a deal this offseason. This team believes in Emanuel quite a bit, and I want to see him ball out in this Summer League and prove why the team feels right about him. We just listed 5 guys on the Mavs Summer League roster. Who are you most excited to watch at Summer League? It could be a Mavericks player. It could be anybody. Let me know who you're excited to watch, and we'll see you next time on Mavericks Today.